I declare open this hearing of the Public Accounts and Estimates Committee. I ask that mobile telephones please be turned to silent. I begin by acknowledging the traditional Aboriginal owners of the land on which we are meeting, the lands of the Wurundjeri people. We pay our respects to them, their elders past, present and emerging, as well as elders from other communities who may be here with us today. On behalf of the Parliament, the committee is conducting this inquiry into the 2025-26 budget estimates. The committee's aim is to scrutinise public administration and finance to improve outcomes for the Victorian community.
Can I ask what proportion of children's court cases are held online?
Well, thank you, Mr. Pujali. I think, as I said, the $240 million in this budget includes funding to continue the online children's court. It's a really important service that is run by the Children's Court. It enables court hearings out of hours, which is really important where children may be brought before or charged with offences out of hours and over the weekend. And I actually had the opportunity to sit in on an online children's out-of-hours court for two bail hearings actually quite recently. And the manner in which the cases are run is not only incredibly professional, but provides great and good support for the child that is appearing. The child has legal representation there as well, and there is great access for family also. Importantly, it means that these cases can be heard and the child is not having to be held over the weekend until a court is available in the working week. So an incredibly important service, and I'm really pleased that the budget for courts, part of that $240 million that we're providing to the courts funding, will include nearly $6 million to continue the really important work of the online children's court. And again, this comes back to that issue about one that's very important for me and is a priority for all of us, and that is about that access to justice.
Is there any projected use of AI in the children's court system over the estimates?
That's such an interesting question, actually, because I've actually tasked the Victorian Law Reform Commission to look into and prepare a report for me on the use of AI in our court system and also by our legal system as well. As you'll see from this budget and also from previous budgets as well, there is a focus on investing in information technology as a way to improve not only the efficiency of the courts, but also improve the experience of court users as well. So enabling, for example, affected family members in family violence matters to appear remotely in court hearings, as you've heard, especially with the Children's Court, in remediation matters and in matters preparing for court, conducted by judicial registrars, that children and affected members can appear remotely as well. But I think more broadly to the use of AI, I think it's not a question of if AI will come, but when. And it is really important that courts and our justice system are best informed in how to respond to that, but also how to embrace it as well. And when I say embrace it, it's not about replacing decisions by humans, of course, but how do we embrace it to improve that user experience and also the operations of our courts and our legal system more broadly.
There were reported cutbacks for specialist court services provided for the Koori court system, with a change proposal document, I understand, being cited by The Guardian. Can I ask how does government intend to meet needs of these communities in the absence of these specialist services that are provided in the Magistrates Court?
Thank you for the question. If I may, and it refers back to my presentation as well, but also to the budget paper. This year, this 25-26 will see the biggest investment in Aboriginal justice. Through my portfolio alone, it is $55 million to support the continuation of those very important 5 regional hubs that are operated by Victorian Aboriginal Legal Service, as well as supporting VALS and JIRA to continue their support as CLCs and providing legal support and services to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people throughout Victoria. The record funding also includes, and it's new funding of $22 million that will be self-determined grants program, so to be led by Aboriginal people on ways to support Aboriginal people on bail and on remand. And this is a significant investment because we know that Aboriginal people are overrepresented in our justice system. And for me and for this government, it is important that we make significant investments to address that overrepresentation and ensure that organisations, specialist organisations like VALS, like JIRA, can continue to provide their really important work.
Thank you. And specifically in relation to the courts, which is where the question was headed, can I be quite specific? So the Koori Courts manager, project manager, 2 team leaders and administrative worker, from what was reported at the time, are those jobs still planned to go? Has that already happened?
I can't answer those specifics on those particular matters that you've referred to, other than...
Is there anyone here that can?
Bring you back to the significant investment that we're making into Aboriginal justice, the largest investment that we're making this year. Also recognising that part of that investment will also be in the operationalisation of the Wyndham Law Courts and ensuring that we have a significant Aboriginal population that lives out in the West, and ensuring that VALS and JIRA are adequately funded to provide that support when Wyndham Law Courts open later this year. There will also be Koori Courts and Koori Children's Courts established at Wyndham, operating from 2027. I think too, for the first time, when I saw the Wyndham Law Courts, they have worked really hard to incorporate a lot of sort of cultural heritage, a lot of cultural art in there as well, to ensure that it reflects a safe space for Aboriginal people to attend. But I do acknowledge that there is a lot of work taking place, and I want to particularly acknowledge the work of VALS in their rollout and their continuation of the 5 regional hubs where they're providing that support to people where they live. So again, it's coming back to that question of access to justice.
Can I just raise another matter? So despite the critical role that community legal centres and legal aid play in providing legal assistance to victims of family violence, they continue to face significant funding shortfalls. I understand 2023, over 340 victim survivors of domestic and family violence were turned away due to insufficient resources. Law Council of Australia estimates a $500 million annual shortfall in legal assistance funding. How does government plan to address these funding gaps to ensure that all victims of family violence have access to the legal support that they need?
Yeah, so I think, again, you will see from this budget and from what I've been talking about, and certainly from my presentation, that it is a priority of this government that we are investing in family violence, not only critical support in protecting victims, survivors, but also around the prevention of family violence in the first place. And that goes back to, of course, not just the work that's done through my portfolio and through my department, but also the work of other portfolios, particularly the Minister for the Prevention of Family Violence. It is a priority of this government. It is why this budget invests significantly in support for community legal centres and their work with family violence.
Action 4 of the Plan for Victoria says you'll explore simpler rules for affordable housing as part of the review of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, so the Minister for Planning and councils can obtain a fair and equitable affordable housing contribution as part of a new development. Can I ask, is that work going to happen before or after the Activity Centres program expansion?
Well, we are already embarking on work to deliver more affordable housing right across Victoria. It is a clear priority of this government, not only to make homes more affordable by building more of them, but also ensuring that developments will contribute to affordable housing for Victorians as well. And we've seen it in action already. I think I brought members earlier to the Development Facilitation Program pathway. It alone, of its 4,700 homes, a quarter of those are affordable homes.
Okay.
That is the importance of creating these fast-track accelerated pathways that we can get on and enable delivery of more affordable homes.
Thank you. Just pulling us back to the question, though, it's the review of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. When do we anticipate that work will be complete?
So we're undertaking that review right now, and this is really important review. You've got to remember, we've got an act that's nearly 40 years old and was probably introduced at a time before we were even talking about climate change, for goodness sake. So it is well and truly time for a new Planning and Environment Act, and it's well and truly time for a new Planning and Environment Act that is also going to enable us to deliver on the priorities that are facing Victorians, and that is certainly the issue around housing and a housing.
When can we anticipate that review to be complete, which was my question?
So we're undertaking that work right now.
Yep.
And there will be reforms through legislative reforms that will be delivered to Parliament when that review work is ready. It is a priority of mine.
Okay.
Because it needs to work to ensure that we are now addressing the needs and priorities of Victorians.
I appreciate that, yeah, but not a timeline that you can provide otherwise, just that it's a priority.
It is an absolute priority.
Okay.
And fits within this quite extraordinary suite of reforms that we are delivering in order to respond to community Victorians who are saying we need more homes.
Okay. Can I ask, are any of the next 50 activity centres going to require affordable housing contributions at the point at which they're rezoned?
So thank you for that. So the way the train and tram zone program will run, so there'll be the first 25, which are out for community consultation and engagement now, and then later in the year, the second tranche will go out for community consultation and engagement. They will follow a similar path as the 10 pilots, so go through 2 rounds of quite extensive consultation and engagement, and that will be looking at the planning rules for the activity centre core. In many cases, that won't be a rezoning. It will be like we did for the pilots activity centres. It was using the activity centre zone, which is an already existing zone, and putting over that what's called a built form overlay. And that goes to the built form envelope of what can be built in that activity centre core. Around the core, we are introducing what is called the housing choice and transport zone, and that will be looking at that much gentler density out from the activity centre. So on the outer edge of that area will be the 3-storey height limit, and that's where we really want to encourage and see sort of the duplexes or the townhouses, which I said are a really good affordable option for many Victorians and are going to fit really well in these neighbourhoods. We will also be encouraging, of course, utilisation of the DFP, which will provide that 10% affordable housing, but also working with communities and with industry to ensure, and with local government, to ensure that we are working towards those targets for those local government areas as well. The plan for Victoria, I can't recall which action item it is, someone might pick it up, but it does talk about further investigating targets for affordable housing within each local government area as well. So that is an action that we are undertaking and we will continue to work towards.
Thank you. Can I ask, does the government plan to establish a head of power for the Planning and Environment Act to mandate affordable housing contributions?
Thank you. And this is a matter that has come up a lot in conversations with community, with local government, with industry. I don't want to foreshadow any of the matters that might or might not be part of the new Planning and Environment Act. However, I think it is fair to say that it is a priority for this government that we deliver more housing, all types of housing, right across Victoria, including in regional Victoria. Ms Benham, I know it's an issue close to your heart, where we want to ensure that regional areas continue and do enjoy the economic prosperity that comes from more housing and growth in those areas, in the areas where they are best suited.
I declare this hearing adjourned.